So we are pleased to have Rima Fujita to talk about your book, Rima. Thank you for accepting our invitation to talk about this beautiful book. So where is the camera? The Extraordinary Life of His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, an illuminated journey.
Voilà.
So we never met personally, and we were put in contact thanks to Françoise Pomaret, isn't it?
Oui.
So I would like to start with to tell you. So we are such happy to meet you, and this is such beautiful book with drawing and text on the life of Dalai Lama from childhood to until now. And I would like to start because I love your book, because I like the way you wrote the text, and it's an easy text to understand. And the fact is, we almost feel when we are reading His Holiness when we are reading it. And I like this proximity with him, like it could be just close to close to here, close to with us, and it's really really well done about that. So we will talk about your text and of course about this beautiful drawing and your way you are working on. Uh, but we will. But please, my first question. I thought maybe lovely to discuss about. Sorry for my English. My English is average and not as fluent as I would like. So sorry if I make mistake during this talking. Can you please introduce the book to people we don't know about and share what this book is about, please? Thank you.
Merci, Adrien. Bonjour tout le monde, enchanté, salut, je m'appelle Rima et mon français est très très pathétique, so I'm happy that you allow me to speak in English. Thank you, and thank you, Adrien. Your English is 10 million times better than my French. So thank you. Thank God, mon Dieu. And I'd like to thank Françoise Pomaret, who she's not here today, but she said hello. And Jocelyn also for connecting us. I would like to introduce myself a little. I'm a full-time artist. I paint, I draw, and I make my living with selling my art. And I was born in Tokyo and I grew up in New York City, and now I live in Los Angeles. And in the 1990s, I heard a voice in my dream one night when I was sleeping. It said, "Help Tibet now." And ever since, my passion is to help Tibetan refugee children's education through books, to help them preserve their unique language and culture through picture books. So I established an organization called Books for Children. It's just me only, but I create picture books in Tibetan language and donate them to exile. So about this book, this is a picture book of the life of the Dalai Lama, as you know. And this is not a children's book because the content is too sophisticated. So little children wouldn't understand the writing, but they can enjoy the drawings. They're very colorful. And children above 10 years old can understand the content. It's a visual book and it's a great gift for all ages. And one of the representatives of His Holiness asked me to create a picture book some years ago. And you have to understand this was the biggest honor in my life because I'm an artist and as a person who adores His Holiness and he's my root guru. So it was the biggest honor to be asked to make a book because they obviously trusted me. So that's how it began.
Yes, and so it's not a book on the Dalai Lama and on his life. It's a book with the Dalai Lama. So this is very important. This part of
yes,
and
it's a form of autobiography. He's talking like I did this. So yes, he's the narrator. Yes.
So you start this project to do interviews with the Dalai Lama, and we are little curious about that. How is Dalai Lama? How is it? How was your relationship with him? And did he look at your work, or did he give you some advice or direction
French,
you follow?
That's funny.
Oh. So I've met him for the first time in 2000. It was an official meeting, but before that, we always met casually. I used to see him 2-3 times a year, either in New York, Tokyo, or India. And he's very familiar with my art because I have been making children's books for the Tibetan refugee kids, and he has written forwards for most of my books. And he once told me that you're an artist who creates beautiful art. So that meant more than anything to me, of course. And so I think he had he was comfortable. I wouldn't say he trusted me or anything, but he was familiar with my work. And so he was maybe comfortable. He never told me what to do about this book. I saw him in Dharamshala. I went back to Dharamshala in 2018 for an official interview, particularly for this book. And New York Times covered it. So the secretary gave me 15 minutes. I said, only 15 minutes? It'll be a very short, thin book. And he said, nowadays, 15 minutes is the best, longest time you can have with His Holiness. And I understood that. So I said, okay, wonderful. But I had all these questions to ask him, but most important questions were eliminated by the secretary. So I didn't get to ask those questions to His Holiness. But 15 minutes ended up as an hour, because he was having such a good time talking with me. And I was told that he enjoyed the interview so much because he knew who I was. We've met before many times, so he was comfortable. It was like seeing an old friend and catching up. But I was told that many times all these journalists come and interview him with certain agenda to get a scoop or something they want to hear. So many times His Holiness has to play that game. But our interview was nothing like that. It was just honoring his life stories, and he was remembering about his childhood memories. And so we just had a wonderful time, and he never told me what to do. So I had a full entire freedom about this book.
How did you do to choose some part of this interview? I mean, the Dalai Lama told you many things, and there is inside the book many things are very interesting. How did you choose to keep this part rather the other part? It was difficult to choose, or it was easy?
it was very easy to me because I've read most of his books. So my brain had done the editing already. I didn't try to edit. I wrote the entire book within 2 hours. There was no struggle. It was so easy for me. I just sat and start writing and everything was done. Even when I handed this text to my publisher, they didn't really edit at all. They corrected my grammar maybe here and there, but they said there's no editing needed. I heard almost His Holiness talking to me when I wrote it, when I was writing. I could hear him talk, telling me his stories. That's why I think you feel like when you read this book, you feel like he's really, you can hear his voice almost, right? He's like, it's really like he's talking. So it's the same way how I draw when I make my art. I don't remember the process. I go into this space that I don't quite remember the detail. I lose track of time, and it's almost like being in a trance. And let's say I finished a drawing, I looked at it later and I don't remember how I painted it. So it was the same way making this book. I spent so many months researching, of course, but when I actually wrote it, it was so smooth and it was almost created for me. Somebody else created for me and it came through me.
Mm-hmm. It's the text it's very, very interesting because there is this small story about, like for example, about his childhood, or he used to play to go to Lhasa just for kidding, or there is this part or when he played. He's playing in the Potala. He's running to catch a flower or to catch a cookie with a cooker or a sweeper. There is this other story with a small mouse. There is this story about he doesn't want anymore to give name to his pet, to his dog. And there is small story that we doesn't know about. New story, and it's very, very. It's a good pleasure to read this. And
yes, of course, I wanted to make this book different from other books, right? So this book has a couple of stories that public never knew before. There are such personal episodes of His Holiness's life that I was told by him or his confidants, who only would know those personal stories about his daily life. For example, the part that he talks about not naming his dogs anymore, because naming a pet creates instant attachment. Oh, this cat is mine. Oh, this dog is mine. Oh, this bird is mine. And it creates this instant bond attachment. And he suffered so much when his first dog died. And I think her name was Dorma. And ever since, after that painful suffering of losing a beloved pet, he promised himself not to name an animal like his pet anymore. But it doesn't mean that he wouldn't love them. It's just he tries not to create more attachment than it's necessary. So I felt that was really interesting, and it was never been shared before in the public. So I wrote about that. And also he talks about saving the little birds in the nest up there from the monkeys. This story was told by his personal assistant, and otherwise you wouldn't know these little stories of His Holiness of kindness that he does daily. So I thought it was so important to put that in the book.
Yeah, we know the story about Tibet, the war and the invasion of China. We know about we know about everything, but this kind of small story are very interesting. For example, when he said, when it's written that he is whipped with a wipe of different color, but the pain is the same. This is very, very funny. I will read. There was a game, so it's chapter 5, Life at the Potala. There was a game we played often. We would place a flower or a stone or a cookie or sometimes a cookie some feet away and then race to get it first. When it was a flower, they used to say, oh, let His Holiness win. And they would let me get the flower. But if it was a cookie, they would run so seriously to get it and would not let me win at all. And there is this kind, is very funny. And sometimes when I read your book, I laugh so much.
Oh, thank you. Well, His Holiness talks about these episodes and he laughs himself so much. He has this amazing ability to give a joke and laughs at his own jokes more than anyone. So I'm happy that you enjoy those pages.
I will try to share some picture. This is not here. This is not here.
Oh.
C'est où, François?
Should I try?
Yeah. I am trying, okay? You want to try? Excuse me. You want to try?
Attends. 1 second. I can't find my soup page.
I think we're back. Here we are. I can see now.
Okay. Oh, let me try. Here we go. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you can explain little for us.
Yes.
How you make your drawing? What is your process, and which material are you using?
So yes. So I work on the black paper, black surface, which is not very common. I mean, it's not rare, but it's not common either. Most artists, I think, they start with a white surface, white canvas, white paper. I start with a black surface. So when you see my drawing, the black part you see, like His Holiness's mother's skirt or all the lines, these are the colors of the paper, the black surface. And the reason why I started this method in the second year at Parsons in New York, it's an art school, is because I used to do so many line drawings and I became so good at it. And everything I drew looked so good and perfect. And I got so bored because I find perfection boring. See, my background is Japanese, so I really treasure this philosophy of wabi-sabi, which is the aesthetics of beauty, of imperfection. We find beauty in imperfection, something imperfect, like a broken glass or wilting flowers or anything which is not perfect, but it's part of life, and we seek beauty in that. It's called wabi-sabi, right? So I said to myself, how can I paint or draw without creating lines? So I came up with this method, which is the reverse method. I lay colors and leave the lines. So in other words, I do not draw lines. So that creates this unique distortion and kind of this energy into the lines that are naturally created. So this is how I work. And also I like the fact that starting on black in the darkness is like putting a light on something which already exists but cannot see because it's dark. So to me, it's very mysterious, but it's also, it's like life. So I really like this method. So this is how I work.
Mm-hmm. And I like your relation with dream, because you start to tell us you are working with dream, and in the book you explain at the beginning you doesn't know nothing about Tibet and Dalai Lama, but in dreams you start to be aware, and after interviews you were blocked at the beginning of the project and you dreams about Dalai Lama and the problem was resolved, and you dream when you are making some drawing. So this relation with a dream, and also with the Asian culture, dream is very important. And medium also, Tibetan medium, there is this, all these things are linked, and this is interesting.
Yes. So thank you. So everything I draw or paint are the visions that I see in my dreams and my meditations. So those visions come to me when I'm either sleeping at night during the dreams, or when I'm meditating. And that's how I've been working for many years. When I was a young student, art student in New York, I used to just paint things I could see with my eyes. But I changed I started to paint only the inner visions I see during the meditations and dreams, and because they're the most personal ones. From a childhood, I used to see things other people didn't see. And I would tell my mother, oh, what's that over there? And my mother would say, what are you talking about? There's no such a thing over there. I used to start to think that these are bad things. I shouldn't see those things. So I kind of blocked myself from receiving these visions. But after the dream, and after I heard that voice in my dream saying, save Tibet, I started to trust those visions more than anything. And that's how I started to work. My work method changed. So, like, for example, this drawing I'm showing right now, this was a scene that His Holiness would wait for the mouse to come out at night, because this little mouse was his only friend he had at Potala Palace. So I knew the story behind, but I didn't have the vision for it. So before I go to bed, I kind of pray, okay, I would like to have a vision for that scene. And, that night or a few nights later, I would have this vision coming to me. And I do not do sketches, so I don't have any sketches. I just start drawing on the black surface. I don't know what this is, but I have this strange gift that I receive those visions, and I'm not psychic or anything. I'm not, but I have this gift to have those beautiful images through my meditations and dreams.
Yeah, with François Panier here, and we are working on shamanism in Asia, and more focusing in Nepal and also in Tibet. And there is a more we will talk just after. And in in the population I'm working on, the Tripang population in Nepal, the dream is the most important for the shaman. And also to making a Helsing ceremony, it's just about dreams and to be aware about that. And I like this drawing also. It's very colorful. And so this is a Mo, if I remember.
Yes, this is a Nechun oracle. Nechun oracle is a oracle. Nechun oracle is a person like us, a human, of Nechun deity. Nechun deity is this god. So he goes into a trance to communicate with Nechun deity to convey messages to the Dalai Lama. So the Dalai Lamas have been using Nechun oracle to get messages from Nechun deity for many centuries. And during the interview with His Holiness spent quite a few moments to talk about Nechun oracle, because Nechun oracle told the Dalai Lama when to leave Lhasa, when to flee Tibet, to escape to India, and like with small detailed instructions. Okay, on this day, you go towards east or west, and which kilometers, and all these precise instructions to make sure that His Holiness reaches India safely. So this was a very, very important element in his history. And so during the interview, His Holiness really told me how Nechun oracle came to him one morning with tears coming out like a waterfall. He said, so much tears coming out, saying, you have to leave tonight. You have to leave tonight. And His Holiness said he'll never forget Nechun oracle's face. It was like he was crying, and you know, it was such an emotional, intense moment. So I had to draw that scene because I personally have a very deep connection with Nechun deity. So this piece was very important to me as well. So I think you can feel the intensity of that moment.
Yes, yes, this is.
And this is a scene that His Holiness and his entourage escape from Tibet to India. They walked for about 2 weeks by foot, and all these soldiers who protected him knew that they would not go back to Tibet alive. There were very, very brave people. So as soon as they reached India, His Holiness told them to stay, but they said, no, we're going back to fight for our country. And they didn't even stay. They returned immediately, and they did not make it to their homeland. They got caught and killed by the Chinese army on the way back. And His Holiness knew, and they even knew too, but they had a commitment to do what they had to do, and it's beyond my. It's incredible how brave these people were. So I tear up every time I read this page. So anyway, so this scene is very important to me.
Yeah, we feel the big landscape and the exile and the way, the path, very difficult to reach.
Yes, and many Tibetans died during their escape from Tibet to India, Nepal borders, because many of them died out of starvation or It's really cold, so some of them didn't make it. Some of them got caught by the Chinese army. And yes, so it's not a hard journey to escape to India or Nepal, those borders. I've met many Tibetan refugee children who survived the escape, but many of them don't have toes or fingers because of the frostbites. They lost them, during the escape. They show me with smiles. Oh, look, my toes. They're incredible. Their resilience and positive outlook of life. I learned a lot from them.
During this exile, the Dalai Lama wrote a tanka about tanka painting of Palden Lamo. It's protector deity. And at the end of the book, you have such a good story with this Palden Lamo. Can you please tell us what about, is it this?
Yes.
Because actually in 2015, I went in Nepal to shoot with the camera a night healing ceremony. And I came back in Paris to download the footage in my laptop, and it was not possible. And we have also recording other person who took shaman with the camera. And when you print, it's not, the shaman is not here. And you have the same story. It's interesting. Can you tell us more about?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, sorry, the light is hitting me. I'm blessed. So when I was working on this book, a friend of mine in Dharamshala, she's a Geshe Ma. Geshe means PhD in Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. Geshe Ma is a female doctor, PhD of Tibetan Buddhism. So she's a Geshe Ma, and she heard that I was working on this book. And she emailed me a picture of Palden Lamo's tanka. Tanka is a Tibetan scroll painting. The photograph of actual Palden Lamo tanka that His Holiness took with him when he fled to India. So the actual tanka. And somehow she had the picture, the photograph. So she sent it to me as a good luck. And I was so moved. So I tried to print it, to put it on my easel so it would inspire me every day. And so I tried to print it, and the paper came out blank. And I said, okay, maybe something went wrong. Let me try again. I try again. The paper is blank. But her Palden Lama is blank, but her surroundings are printed. That's so weird. So I try again. Same story. Palden Lama is blank. So I tried to print other things just to make sure that my printer was working. So I print other things. Everything comes out perfectly. So I said, that's very strange. So I called my Tibetan friend and I explained, and she started laughing. She said, oh, Rimala, it's not rare. These things happen with Palden Lama. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, many times people take photos of Palden Lama's paintings or anything. They come out either white or black, nothing. And so she was not surprised to hear my story. And I took it as a sign that Palden Lama's spirit was there, because otherwise it wouldn't work like that. So I said, okay, you don't want to reveal yourself, fine, but I know you're there because you're blank, but her surroundings were there. So it was another confirmation to me that I was protected to create this book.
This is a very beautiful story. And when we are working with this kind of mask or statue or this kind of topic in shamanism or medium, the things happen like this. And we have many kind of story like this. And yours is very beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Do you have some other picture to show? Because
yes.
I
let me see. So this is a scene. This is a very personal story of His Holiness's episode that no one else knew, but I wrote about it in this book. So His Holiness has this cherry tree in his garden in Dharamshala. And it's very personal to me too, because this cherry tree he brought back from Japan 60 years ago. And the tree was small like this, you know, but he took this cherry tree from Japan to Dharamshala and he planted in his garden. And now it's a huge tree. I've seen it. And so this tree has seen his entire life in India. And one day His Holiness called his bodyguard and said, look, there's a nest of those little baby birds up on the tree, but those monkeys are trying to harm them. So you don't have to take care of me, but can you stand at the foot of the tree? And then every time the monkeys come, just, push them away and make sure that baby birds are safe. So the bodyguard, who is also my friend, the bodyguard stood at the foot of the tree for 1 week. And every time the monkeys came, he just would throw stones, not at the monkeys, but just throw stones so that they get scared and they leave those baby birds and eggs. And I thought it was such a lovely episode of His Holiness. You know, I can just see him saying, you don't have to take care of me. I'm fine. Just protect those birds. So only insiders would know this episode, and I was fortunate to be told this story. So I wanted to share that with the world. So I put that. And this is the drawing from the last page. This is his mother handing food to a stranger. A lot of times they were travelers. So His Holiness always says, the first person who taught me compassion was my mother. Apparently, his mother was a very, very compassionate woman. And His Holiness often says they were rather poor, the family. They were simple farmers. But when strangers come looking for food, his mother would gladly give her share of the food. And even though she didn't have anything left for that day. And that was so moving. So this was the first drawing of the book. It started with the mother. This is his mother churning the butter tea. They make this butter tea. You mix butter with tea, and they make butter tea in this little tube here. And this is his mother, and this is Little Holiness in a basket. That's his father, who was passionate about horses.
And the crows also are interesting because searching Dalai Lama, each Dalai Lama saw these crows.
Yes. So I threw all these informations in there. The stupa in the back, that's from Kumbum Monastery in the back. You can see all over the hill. that was the first monastery he stayed at age 3. And he suffered a lot there because they did not treat him as a special being, not out of hatred or anything, but the monks wanted to treat him as any other monks for his own well-being. It was a very strict place. And so I put that monastery in the back too. But I didn't plan this, but I realized later when somebody told me, I started this book with the mother and ended the book with his mother. And I thought it was such a nice, natural editing I did without even thinking about it, because she was really the symbol of his own compassion. She was the first teacher of compassion. So I thought this was a really nice, natural editing. Yes. Again, I didn't do it consciously. I was led by something. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Rima, for those explanations. Before to leave the audience to ask question, I have one more question about. We organize each month event, and a few years before we wanted to organize a film screening on a French museum about Dalai Lama and Tibet topic. And it was not possible because the topic was about Tibet and Dalai Lama. So the French museum said, no, it's too dangerous. We don't want to do this screen. And I would like to know if with this project you also find some issue or everything was good from the beginning to the end, or
No, it was not good. When His Holiness's representative asked me to create this book, I wanted to publish in Japan first because I'm Japanese, and in Japan, there are not many picture books about His Holiness's life. And also, I mean, he's famous, but he's not known as much as in America or Europe. So I wanted to introduce His Holiness's life in Japan. So I approached two top publishers, or several top publishers in Japan. I spent 2 years negotiating with them. And at the end, they didn't want to do it for the political reasons. So the representative of His Holiness said, you know what, let's just do it in America. And it was very smooth, you know, the Wisdom wanted to do it. They were very thrilled to do it. So I think they made a beautiful book. So, but yes, and even now we're trying to have this exhibition tour in the world, but most venues like museums decline for the same reason.
I understand. And do you want to publish in other country?
Yes,
even if in Japan it's impossible?
Yes, Japan is possible because the representative in Japan is working very hard to find a publisher. He's very passionate about this book. Spanish and Portuguese versions are coming up in March next month.
Great.
And I would love to see this book in French because French people love liberty and love. You have to translate this into French. So please, if you know anyone, we'd love to. I don't deal with the translation part, but the publisher deals with the translation part. So I will connect you.
Yeah, let's talk in private.
Yes.
We know some editing house. I don't know. Let's talk more about.
Yes.
On verra si c'est possible avec quelques maisons d'édition.
But this book is on Amazon France. So if you like the English version, it's available on Amazon France.
And the Dalai Lama read your book?
Yes, yes. Because of the pandemic, I have not been able to go there in person to present the book, but all his secretaries are telling me the best thing is for you to come and hand him the book. But I did send the copies already. I've been told he has seen it, but we don't know the detail because of the pandemic. His Holiness is in a separate building from the secretaries. His Holiness lives with the monks, not the lay people, right? So we have a very limited information, but I was told that he did see the book, but to have the feedback, I have to see him in person. They really are very eager for me to bring this book and show it to him in person to get more detailed feedback from His Holiness. So I can't wait. And in September, we have a Tibetan version of this book. And I'll be donating many copies to Tibetan refugee children, the Tibetan version, to help them, preserve their language and culture and their legacy.
Mm. In Devanagari also, Indian Devanagari. Why not?
Pardon?
In Indian language also could be great.
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm. Now the chat is open. Sorry again for my bad English, but what to do? And you can ask by chat, or you can ask directly to Rima if you want. Please feel free. Yes, Alexia.
Good evening, Rima. Can you tell us a little about your writing? Did you write like a tale? Does it look like a tale when you are writing? Can you show us? Is it possible to show us an extract of your writing, please?
Oh, the text, you mean?
Yeah, so I'm talking about the text. Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah, I was wondering if it's writing like a tale. Does it sound like a tale? So is it easily understandable by the children? Yeah.
Oh, so when I'm sorry, can you see me? When they asked me to create this book, I wanted to make like as if His Holiness was talking, like he's a narrator. So rather than once upon a time, there was a man called His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I wanted to write like he was talking. I was born in Tibet, and where Tibet was free, because that's more powerful and it's more personal. And I got the permission to do so, because you need a permission to do everything from his office. And because I think I've met His Holiness so many times, I know how he talks. I know the kind of words he uses. I know how his English is phrased. So I think naturally it came to me. When I was writing, I wrote the whole thing in 2 hours, and I really heard him talk. So it was very strange in a way, but I really think something was helping me to sound like him, and I just wrote down.
Okay.
So I think it worked perfectly to have this writing style as his as the Dalai Lama as a narrator.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Merci.
De rien.
Any other questions?
Coaching pack, yes. your mic is closed.
Sorry. Is this conference recorded?
Yes, sure.
And is it available?
Yeah, in 2 weeks on the YouTube page.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, yes.
Okay. It's fascinating. Thank you very much for this conference and your story and the book. I want to buy it on Amazon.France. Yes?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
You.
Yes, I just checked Amazon. Yes, it's available on Amazon France.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Okun. Does anyone want to ask something about the drawing, about the text, about
or comments,
the way,
anything?
Or comments? Yes. I have one question.
Great.
What is your following work? I mean, what is your plan after these books? Do you have? Do you want to continue this work with the Tibetan culture, or do you have other plans?
No, helping the Tibetan refugees' children, their education is my life work. So I will continue until the day I die, as much as I can. Right now, His Holiness the Dalai Lama is the pillar that is holding all the Tibetans around the world. But there are Tibetans from Nepal, Tibetans from India, Tibetans from Bhutan, Tibetans from Tibet, America, Europe. There are many Tibetans and they're all different. They're the same, of course, but they are different. And they don't necessarily get along all the time with each other. So I've seen them fight sometime because their cultures are different, their thinking or ways are different. So I worry sometime after His Holiness leaves his current body, what's going to happen to those Tibetans? And of course, the Chinese government is probably waiting for that catastrophe. So that's why I made this book called Tibetan Identity. I made the book with the Tibetan government. It was a collaboration to really help Tibetan people rethink about their identity. So I feel like my work needs to continue. Of course, my contribution is very small, but I believe it's part of my mission as an artist to continue to do whatever I can to help Tibetan refugee children's well-beings and their education and their future. So I will continue. I don't know exactly what next, but I will continue. And my immediate purpose right now is to have this exhibition from this book. I have all the original art, and I would like to create exhibitions around the world to spread the legacy of His Holiness's life. And so I will focus on that for now. And I will continue to do whatever I'm supposed to do. And I'm always guided. So I trust my path.
Yeah. Your work is amazing and it's very important. When I went in Tibet in 2006, it was not possible for Tibetan people to have the Dalai Lama picture.
Yes.
But in Yunnan and in Sichuan, the same years, it was possible. They were more free in Yunnan and Sichuan, in China. So there is also this point. Also Tibetan people in Lhasa prefer to speak English than Chinese. And it was also, there is a question. So Marielle, I want to ask you, do you think anyone can have visions like the one you had about Tibet? Or does this mean you had a sort of hidden inner link with Tibet even before these visions? And do you feel you have a mission that was imposed to you through this vision?
Mm-hmm. Great question. Thank you. First of all, I do have a very strong connection with Tibet. I have seen, I'm 100% certain that I have a very strong connection with Tibet because in my dreams, those messages have come. So I have no doubt. And therefore, it's my mission, my lifetime mission, to use my skill to help the Tibetan refugees. Again, my contribution may not be big, but I need to continue to use my ability and skill to help them. And also, those inner visions, we all have the ability to have those inner visions. Some are more sensitive, like me. Some are maybe haven't discovered the ability yet, but we all have the same ability to receive visions, this inner visions. It's a matter of practice, and we all have that. So I truly believe everybody has that access to those visions.
Thank you for your question, Marielle.
Oh, thank you for the questions, yes.
Il y a une question, François?
Non.
Ah, il y a Noah et Catalina, excuse me. Catalina, please, and after Noah.
Yes, I had a quick question also regarding your visions that you have through meditation and dreaming. Your art is very colorful and vibrant, and I was just curious if in those visions it comes across that bright. I really love it. I've never had dreams that vibrant before, so I'm very curious.
Thank you. I was shocked when some friends long time ago told me that they only have dreams in black and white. I had never heard of people like that before. So I was in shock because my dreams have been always super colorful. And the colors I see in my dreams, they don't exist in this world. The colors are so intense that I don't know. I don't know. Some people told me when you do certain drugs, you see intensified colors like that.
Ayahuasca, but, yes.
But I've never done those drugs, so it's hard for me to say. But colors are so intense. And that's how I see those visions. And I try to recreate those intense colors, but it's impossible. They're like so intense. And I don't know why. And I'm fascinated by the fact that some people see only dreams in black and white. I mean, how is that possible? To me, it's more the myth.
Noah?
Yeah. Thank you, first of all, for the talk. It was very beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Noah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for disturbing at the beginning. I had my mic unmuted. I'm very sorry. I didn't know. But my question, so I was wondering, since most of your paintings are pretty in a large format, I was wondering how you felt about it being small and in a book, and if you've ever done any educational books like that before.
Thank you. My original paintings for this book, they were bigger. I just have to, I had to make sure the format was the right ratio for the book format. So they reduced the art image into this book size. But it's very for my method, it's harder to paint smaller. So as you said, it's, yes, when it's too small, it's very difficult for me to, because my work is so detailed, and so smaller it gets, harder it gets. But for this particular book, my originals are much bigger than this size. So when you actually see my actual original drawings from the book, you will see, and hopefully we'll have the exhibition someday somewhere. And I'm sorry, what was the second question?
Wait, the second question.
Oh, I thought you had two questions.
No,
Sorry.
no, wait.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just wanted to know how you feel about it, like how you felt about it being small.
You mean the size?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So yes, it was. I didn't make those drawings too small, so it was good.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
And regarding the question of Marielle, they want to know when you say the matter of practice, a matter of practice, do you mean meditation?
Sorry, I can't find my spot. Oh, okay. Avoid my sun. Sorry, I'm trying to avoid the sun, but they follow me.
It's perfect.
Okay,
Don't change anything.
I give up. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question? Sorry.
It was a question from Marielle, and you spoke about a matter of practice, and she wants to know if it means about meditation or not.
Yes, when I say practice, I'm a Buddhist. I practice Tibetan Buddhism. So when I say practice, it means meditation and being mindful, and study of the Dharma. But as an artist, the most important practice for me is to keep my center clean, meaning when my thinking takes over, I do not create good art. It's the best condition for creating art is I stay very, my center is very clean and centered, and I don't have all this voice saying, oh, do this, do that. If you paint this, you'll make a lot of money, things like that. Those voice, I have to kind of let them go. And then, so before I paint, I start with meditation. Not too long, but I meditate and then keep my, I call it pipe. I have this center pipe running through me. Some people call it chakra. And I have to keep that very clean and smooth so that I can just receive all these visions that I'm supposed to draw. And that's my most important maintenance work. So when I say practice as an artist, that's very important to me, to keep myself pure, clean, and as faithful as possible to receive these visions I'm supposed to manifest.
Does anyone wants to say something? Yes, Joji? Your mic, please. Your mic.
There you go. Sorry. Hi, good morning, everyone. And thank you to Rumi for this fascinating, wonderful conference. And I'm sorry I didn't get your name, but thank you for hosting it in Paris. And I also would like to thank Darlene, who is a really close friend that really helped me get access to this conference. So thank you, Darlene. But I wanted to add, Rumi, that I'm also a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner. And I'm a supporter, and I had an organization, Tashi Lumpo Foundation, that supports a monastery in Tibet, in Bailakupe. Its name is Tashi Lumpo, and it's connected with the Panchen Lama. I'm sure if you know the history, they're very, very connected. And so I just heard word just this morning, actually, that the abbot of the monastery is coming to visit in May in California. And so I had this idea that perhaps maybe we could have present your books to one of the events that we're going to have that's coming, to me now it's kind of gelling in my head. And so perhaps, we could have a book signing or something that would be just wonderful to introduce your wonderful piece of work and art. And it's just incredible. Your work is incredible. I was really thoroughly fascinated by it. And I'm sure a lot of people here as well will be honored to know about it and to even have copies of it. So anyway, if I can reach to you personally or privately, we can perhaps plan something along those lines, if you would consider it. Thank you.
That's really wonderful. Thank you so much. I know Tashi Lumpo, and I know people who are there. So it means a lot to me, and I would love to do whatever I can to participate. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Anything for me to promote the legacy of His Holiness. He's my root guru, and it's my honor to do anything I can to promote his legacy. So please let me know.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
There any question? I've been in Dharamsala in 2004. It was my first experience with Tibetan culture, and I spent around 3 weeks alone, not in Dharamsala, upstairs in MacLeod Gange. And maybe we will be able to meet Rima in MacLeod Gange or in Paris or in other place one day. It would be a pleasure for me.
Yes, yes, definitely Paris first, I hope. Yes, we'll come see your gallery and we'll have the aperitif.
Yes, we will come back to you about this exhibition in Paris, and we will try our best. Yeah, isn't it?
Right.
Thank you, everybody. And
thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I really want to thank you, Monsieur Bagnier and Adrian, for hosting this, and thank you, everybody. I don't know where you are, everybody, in the different places, but thank you so much for coming, and I had a wonderful time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tashi Dele.
Au revoir, merci.
Au revoir, bye bye.
Bonne nuit.
Bonne journée, bonne nuit.
Bonne nuit.
Merci Rima. Merci beaucoup.
Merci,
Rima.
merci.